Shooters Connection offers products for competition shooters by competition shooters. With over 80 years of combined competition shooting experience, Shooters Connection is staffed by master and grandmaster shooters who live the shooting sports every day. We offer same-day shipping. Shooters Connection also sponsors over 100 of your matches every single year. So when it comes to finding everything you need to compete as a beginner or a seasoned grandmaster, Shooters Connection is the only name you need to know. Online at shootersconnectionstore.com.
Welcome back. This is the Hit Factor podcast. We've got a special episode coming for you tonight because we are discussing power rankings. And I'm super excited about that. Jeff Cawthon's with us as always, myself, Jeremy. You guys are used to Potato, otherwise known as, well, Potato said that he should look like a person who went to work. He worked all day and then came home and put his undershirt on to do some dry fire gun work or something like that. I think Potato looks like he hasn't worked in 5 or 10 years, and that's what we got. But that's kind of the people that we get in USPSA. So especially if they're from Maine, I guess he could look like he's been like fishing for lobsters all day. That would make sense.
I could see it.
Like the deadliest catch, like type of deal. Like
Yeah.
You see that? Like I could see him on a crabbing boat, or
Right.
in Maine it'd be lobster boat.
Just getting one of those big ass rain jackets, cover jackets, and
I made $67,000 on the Snow King this year in 6 weeks of work. I haven't slept in 3 days though, but my daughter's doing great as captain.
Oh, jeez. Do y'all have crab up in Maine, or is it lobster?
Yeah,
Just
there's
lobster.
crab, but the big fishery, the largest commercial fishery is absolutely lobster.
Oh, okay. And then we have another new special guest, which are video viewers. You can't see him, but the audio listeners will hear. He's here because of Discord fame. So if you want to be a guest on the podcast, be like Potato and be like our other guest and be on the Discord and make lots of comments. I have flies. If you're watching on the video, I'm going to be shaking flies off all day. But Mr.
Like
Katon.
flies on, I can't remember the rest of the phrase.
Is it Katon?
Yeah, that's close enough.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what we're going with.
well, that's the fourth pronunciation I've heard in the 10 minutes. It's Katon.
Katon. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there an ethnicity that goes with this?
No, my dad made it up, and my mom made sure that I had a normal middle name in case I got bullied.
Did you?
so like
No.
Chad.
Well, I mean, like, I don't care, so whatever.
Okay. That's the best explanation I've heard for a name like that before. So that's great. And so power rankings. This has been probably the most exciting power rankings we've had maybe since we have started it, because for one, the top 7 have been unchanged as far as who have been in the top 7. I think almost since we've started this, they've changed order, but who was in it. So that has changed. And then we have new people in the top 7, and there was just a whole lot of turnover. This is coming off of Optics Nationals. That was obviously the biggest factor in this power ranking set, but it was also just the biggest, deepest competitive field that we've had at a Nationals in, I'll just say recent memory. I'm not going to say ever, but I'll just say recent memory. And so that's what we got in our power rankings. For those who haven't seen it on social media or anything like that, moving up into first place is Christian. He won Optics Nationals. He's a stud. So he's number 1 here. We actually had a tie for second between Nils and Jacob Hetherington. So they're tied for second. And then moving up into the top 7 in a big way is John Vlieger. And actually, pretty sure I got his name right this time. Well, so
Yeah, I think so.
So that's good. He had a fantastic Nationals. It seems like anytime Nationals are around, he shows up. I think my observation of John is that level twos where the shooting's maybe a little bit easier, the hit factors are going to be a little bit higher. The scores kind of get compressed. He may not be as fast as some other guys on just the straight hosing stuff. But when it comes to technical shooting and you really have to aim and there's danger on a lot of the targets or most of the targets, he seems to really excel at that. And that may be a nationals thing. Because, man, I don't know how much you guys know of Brooks Koepka, is a professional golfer. And he's not won a whole lot of regular PGA Tour events. He's on Live Tour now. He's not on the PGA Tour, but he's won 5 majors now, and he's always a factor in the majors because his mentality is just that half the field are going to tank for the simple fact that it's a major, and they're all stressed out and they're just not going to play well. So I only have half the field to beat at a major of what I do at a normal match, a normal tournament. And I think maybe we see a little bit of that with John, which is cool that the biggest match of the year, he's able to bring his best stuff. Then we had Max come in 5th. He's shot really well all year. He had a solid nationals. I think he's probably a bit disappointed in where he finished. He was really, really up there in the top 2 or 3 or 4 going into the last day, and didn't have a great last day. Garen Singleton is the other. He has not been on the list at all, I don't think.
Yeah,
in the past.
How does that work? How is he not on the list? And then from one nationals in one
2
division.
matches. So it's the he's been on the Super Squad in production, going back where he started a few years ago, and he had a strong CO Nationals 3 years ago or 2 years ago in 2021, and we talked about him as someone who could easily break into the top tier. We also talked about him as sort of a likely strong finisher at this particular match. And then he beat 2 other people who are sort of in that top 10 the week before Nationals at the Kentucky section or state match, the level 2 there. So he went from winning a level 2 to coming in where he did at CO Nationals. And I think we kind of have to acknowledge somebody on a hot streak, and the level of talent that reflects, even if you don't have the duration or the multi-division threat that we might think of for somebody like Nils.
So what if he doesn't shoot iron sight?
Then his scores will decay and he'll fall out of the top 12.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any information to sort of I think we're trying to say who's really hot right now, who's really powerful right now. Like at this moment, where is the heat? Not historically who's the best there ever was, not who's most likely to win match X in the future, but sort of right now. And so if somebody isn't shooting matches right now, their name's going to fall down because we don't have any reason to sort of rate them highly.
Okay.
And I think I'm getting ahead of Jeremy here, so I'll stop. But that's going to come up later in these rankings. There's people who are fallen just because they haven't shot in matches.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Garen is a good one to stop on because that's kind of the first name that's like, wait, he's tied with JJ because him and JJ were both tied for 6th place in our rankings, and I'll kind of explain how we ended up with ties later. But so it's like, how can a guy that a lot of people have never heard of, Garen, be tied with JJ, who's one of the most well-known names in the sport? Well, yeah, this isn't a who's the best shooter of all time. It's not even a list of like who do we think are the best shooters in USPSA. Like it's not even that. It's who is kind of the hottest right now, and that's a perception deal. Like we're not, obviously we're not just gonna do order of finish for Carry Optics Nationals because then that's just order of finish. That certainly plays a big effect. But Garen was 5th at Carry Optics Nationals. So you have what we have all said, everybody has said, this is the deepest nationals in recent memory. It's going to be super tight at the top. And he comes in and he gets fifth at that. Like, that's not just you have to have some serious skills to finish there where he did. And yeah, to Potato's point, he shot really well at Kentucky. And I actually put a little bit more on that Kentucky match than I might some other level twos, because I know that was Leif's match. Leif put that on, and I know that Leif put on really good match with really good stages. So this isn't a double tap. This isn't a match where all the targets are just in super close and it's just who can pull the trigger the fastest. Like, I know that it's going to be a true test. And so it's like, well, he shot really well there and he shot really well at this nationals. He has to be pretty good. And so, yeah, so it is a bit of a perception deal. Historical performance plays into that. Like, there's no way to completely remove the bias. And I think it should. I think that actually helped JJ a little bit is he was able to be tied for sixth because we know how historically good he is. So I certainly think that played in some people's favor. And
so, okay, so I think this is the first time I've actually heard you guys say that this is more of a, like, who's the hotness contest rather than a, like, who's the best all-around shooter right now contest.
They're kind of the same, though.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said was kind of the same.
You can't be the best shooter if you're not currently shooting matches. Right.
Right. But you're not taking into, like, you're not taking into account, like, historical iron sight wins or anything like that. It's what you're currently shooting.
No, we're taking that into account. Like, it's subjective. Like, the point is to argue about it. Is to have people who are paying attention disagree. Yeah. If everyone paying attention agrees, then there's not really much here.
Right.
And so I can tell you, Jeremy and I disagree. We did not come up with the same list. And we came up, though, the top 5 people, they were all the same 5 people. And only one was sort of in a different order. And that's not order of finish at Carry Optics Nationals. So we sort of independently looked at the information out in the world and we're like, hey, these are the people who are hot right now. And then the farther down you go, the sort of more disagreement there is. And for me, at least, that's what's exciting, the idea that names that people paying attention to might have heard or known about for a few years, but folks who don't neurotically follow match results at random level twos across the country don't know. It'll be new to them. And, Guerin, who did he beat at Kentucky? He beat Leaguer.
Right.
We were rating very highly. And it was right there.
Gotcha.
Okay, like post-match. I mean, he beat him by a couple of points, but yeah.
Yeah, so to explain a little bit of our people shooting currently, we haven't got to the name yet, but Sal ended up 12th on this. Sal has been perennially in our top 7 for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But Sal has not done any shooting lately. He did not shoot Carry Optics Nationals. I don't think Sal's a worse shooter now than he was then, but he's simply, like, it's kind of a dull time in his season. And he didn't shoot CO, so he's going to get bumped down a little bit. Christian, on our very first power rankings this year, he was 3rd in that, if I remember correctly. And I mean, yeah, he won the last world shoot last November, but basically he had not shot any matches since then. I think he had shot one, like the Empire sectional, which was not like, it's not like a highly well attended match. And so,
although your other guest was there, so let's
True.
He did have to come through him.
He did have to go through Katon.
So true.
But that didn't give him a whole lot of points. And so, like, the other guys had been shooting a lot more matches than he had against stiff competition. And it's like, well, yeah, Christian did well in open in last November, but that was in March, I think, when we did, or April when we did the last one. That's a big spread. And so, he didn't get the top spot at that point. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of explanation of what the power rankings are a little bit. and why that is. Like I said, Garen Singleton and JJ are tied for 6th. We had Mason in 8th. Again, that's a little bit, Mason had us.
If you have a tie for 6th, why don't you have a 7th?
That's how it works when you rate things.
Oh my
because
gosh,
6 and 7
Jeff.
are the same. Yeah.
Do you know how to add, Jeff? But can you count?
No, I think that if you lose the tiebreaker, you should be stricken from the list and forgotten about.
Okay, I guess
like
that's fair.
You're objectively a loser.
Yeah, that's true. Jeff, Mason is 8th because there are 7 names ahead of him.
Oh, I get that.
So he would be 8th.
Right. But you have 2 6s.
Jeff needs to see the 7 on the list, otherwise it just I need to see the number 7.
Oh, you skipped 7. It's like, what the hell?
Just put it on the right somewhere, just not in the order.
It's because 7, 8, 9, right?
Could you just put a 7 with a pending by it or something? I can't even find your stupid list now.
It's on Instagram, buddy.
I can't find my login to Instagram.
It's in the Discord in the Power Rankings channel.
Okay, I got it. Still missing the 7. Got it. Go.
Mason was 8th. He had a I think a disappointing for him nationals. I think he was expecting better. And this is kind of where stuff starts getting really where Potato and I really kind of our list started diverging. Aaron Eddins ended up in 9th place. Aaron's the defending open national title. He shot a solid carry optics match. It was good enough to be okay, yeah, that's a legit finish there.
Yeah.
Scott Brown is 10th. He ended up 10th on the list. And I had him 9th and Potato had him 10th. So that was really pretty close for both of us there. Scott finished 14th Carry Optics Nationals. That's not a great finish for somebody that's 10th on the list, but at least my thinking, Potato can talk about his. Mine is a little bit, okay, this is not Scott's main division. He does not shoot a dot in his main division. He mainly shoots irons. And so by shooting as well as he did at National, because 14th at this match is really, really good. By shooting as well as he did, it validates how good he is with his main division, right? So I hold he kind of almost gets a little bit of a bump, even though he wasn't in that top 5, that top 10. He almost gets a bump because we don't necessarily expect his secondary division him to be quite as good. At least that's my personal thinking. Other people can disagree with that, but that's my personal thinking. I don't know how you thought about it, Potato.
Very similarly. That's actually why I rated not just Scott Brown, but Aaron Eddins and Andrew Hyder so highly, is people picking up unfamiliar equipment, slightly different division, minor scoring. I mean, these things actually do matter. And one of the reasons we all consider Nils so highly is not just because he wins all the time, but because he's a threat in every division. And because he understands shooting on such a fundamental level that the equipment or the division sort of particularities don't tend to affect his performance. And so seeing new people perform at their level in a different division suggests that they're... Yeah, I mean, this is why I had Scott Brown ahead of people who finished ahead of him at the CO match.
Yeah.
Right. So does anybody know anything about Trace Decker?
So
he's a great shooter.
6th place.
In all honesty, Trace is the one guy that I think has a legitimate beef and being pretty upset to not be mentioned on this list.
Well, he got mentioned now, so
he got mentioned on the podcast.
So
put him on the fake 7th entry.
Yeah, he's 7th. On my list, he's 7th.
So Trace Decker is the ghost 7th. And the reason why he's not on my list is he outperformed his recent performances at CO Nationals, which is great. But that's where he finished relative his 93%. That's what he shot relative Guerin at Kentucky. That's what he shot relative Tom Castro at Ohio. So, and Trace Decker, he doesn't need me to tell him he's a great shooter. He knows that. But this year, he hasn't sort of climbed to the heights that I think he can. And hopefully his nationals finish and his nationals performance is the start of that next piece. And it'll be easy for us in a few months' time to say Trace Decker should be on this list. But again, looking at the last few months, it's like this is a sort of a top-level shooter who historically finishes in the low 90s relative other top-level shooters.
So you said Trace was at the Kentucky match? Is that what you said?
I believe so. I'm working from memory. If you're checking out my math, people will quickly figure out I know even.
Yeah, it was like basically 95% Singleton.
Okay. And he was at Ohio.
Yeah, so that was kind of that was a little bit the deal with Trace, is that it seemed like he had a single standout match. There was quite a lot better than his other matches, which you could say the same thing for Scott Brown as far as CO is concerned, because his matches leading up to this weren't great, as we talked about on the previous podcast. But this is where historical part actually for me does play a bit into it, because looking at Scott Brown, looking at a John Vlieger, like Scott was less than a point away from winning limited nationals a year ago. And then he had a good nationals, a really good nationals here in a division outside of his normal division. John Vlieger is like every nationals he's right there, and he was actually leading. If I remember correct, was he leading after day 2? He was right there at the top.
Not this year, but last year he did. He
well, then maybe it was day 1? Then he was leading after like one of the days. Maybe it was day 1 that John was leading. But so, yeah, it's perception. If people want to come and argue, I'd love to come tell us we're wrong and tell us why you think we're wrong. That's
what I'm doing.
That's perfectly fine. And Trace Decker, like I said, I think he has the most legitimate argument to come say, hey, you guys messed up here.
And there's a great track record of people telling us we're wrong, and then they win their next major.
So so if Trace goes on and like is right there winning matches or really, really close to winning matches going forward, then absolutely, I think he would probably get the bump onto the list. So let's see him do it. This is kind of a call out. But so then we end up our 12. We're at 12 people now. Joey Sauerland, who did not shoot this match, and then Sal Luna is 12th, who did not shoot this match. It just seems like Joey Sauerland shot the Kentucky match. Am I remembering that correctly, Potato?
He did.
And for a limited shooter, shot an incredible score there. So he's been kind of on this upward trend. He was on our others receiving votes last time, and he seems to be on that upward trend. So, and then Sal ended up. I had Sal 12th. Potato had Sal 13th, and so Sal, we recognize he's still a great shooter. He just hasn't been shooting lately. Other people that got votes for us between the two of us are Miriam Brantley got votes, Giovanni got votes, Dazi Zhang got votes, Andrew Hyder got a vote, and then we both had Jay Beal 15th on our list. We both went to 15 names, and then we culled that to the top 12. So how I end up with our final scores and how we end up with ties, and this is where the discussion's open to maybe we want to change it so we don't have ties in the future. What we do is I compile a list, Potato compiles a list. We do that fairly well independently. And the math is real simple. If you're first, you get 15 points. If you're second, you get 14 points. If you're third, you get 13 points. So on all the way down to the list. And then I just add both of our lists together. So we both had Christian first. So Christian ended up with 30 points. I had Nils second. He had Nils third. So Nils ended up with 27 points, and then Jacob was switched. I have Jacob third. He had Jacob second. So they both had 27 points there. And so on down the list is how I then compile it. So the question is, should I leave ties or should we have a tiebreaker? What do you guys think?
How would you break the tie?
Well, I have a possible solution. I have two possible solutions right now for breaking the tie. But the question is, Jeff obviously needs the tie to be broken.
He
cannot handle it.
Yeah, here's the thing. This whole list is so subjective, I don't understand why you have a tie, other than what you just said. Like, why not just pick one over the other?
Well, because if we pick one over the other, Jeremy will just pick the one he rated higher.
Yeah, Jeremy, it's your podcast. Why don't you just be like, Potato, I'm doing this. This is the list.
So that is one option, is that my list would be the tiebreaker. So if they are higher on my list, whoever was higher on my list would get the other place.
Actually, wait, what the hell? I should make the call. I should make the tiebreaker call.
Okay, that was my other option, is that if there's a tie, Jeff has no input on the list because he can't think this far out. He can't come up with a whole list. That's not happening. But if there is a tie,
should be on that list.
Yeah, but who are you going to move off? That's what you can't. That's where you would just get totally stumped.
Honestly, that's why this is fun. Is limiting ourselves to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got two gaps in there. There's a 3 and a 7 missing, so you got two.
So we can let in the future. We can, if we want to. I can just give Jeff two names, not tell him where they're at on the list. Just say, hey, two names. Who do you think's the better shooter currently? And let him decide that.
Yeah. I'm down.
Okay. Well, in the future, well, it won't be published, but Nils or Jacob?
Well, you got to give me time to do some research.
No, right now, Nils or Jacob?
Nils.
You've seen all the results. Okay, so Nils is second. Jacob, I'm sorry, you're third. Officially, it won't be published, but officially, Nils is second. Jacob's third. Okay, 6, Garen Singleton or JJ. Ooh, Garen Singleton or your boy JJ. Mister, I can't make equipment right. Look, let's just be fair.
It's JJ.
Really?
Yeah.
Right now?
JJ. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's JJ.
But Garen isn't beholden to people who make bad gear.
Exactly.
Like raw shooting
JJ
skill, maybe, but like JJ has to fight not only everyone at nationals, but like his sponsors.
Yes. Okay. So JJ was. I had a discussion about JJ, and they were pissed that how can Garen Singleton be tied with JJ? He's a current world champion. How can he be tied for 6th place? That's ridiculous.
That's fair.
Look, that's a fair take, but he has a world title and he beat who? Like, who did he beat to win that world title?
Other people in the world.
Got him.
Got him.
There wasn't.
Just
give us
a couple names. Just give us a couple names, Jeff.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I can't even pronounce
name 5
international
songs.
Names.
Name 5 songs right now.
So, yes, JJ has a world title, but JJ also ran from Christian to win that world title. Like, I'm sorry, like JJ can get pissed, but JJ qualified for Open.
Beretta doesn't make an open gun. Let's be.
What did he shoot at Open Nationals last year?
Okay, Beretta doesn't make an open gun that you would want to shoot for 6 days.
Well, but okay.
JJ's he's world renowned for getting 2nd place. So I mean, I feel like.
So let him get second to Garen here.
No.
So
I mean, I think.
So what? And I rated JJ higher, so I'm just arguing against my own interests here. I think I put JJ. Yeah.
You had JJ at 6th. I had JJ at 8th. We both had Singleton at 7.
Okay. So I put JJ ahead of Singleton. I think, Jeff, you need to sort of consult your conscience here. And really, I want you to officially sort of clarify where JJ should be.
Officially? Okay. He should be
sixth.
Sixth.
That's the word you're looking for. And then I also want you to tell me, what has he won in 2023?
I don't think he's won anything, has he?
So that's why it's like fair that he's where he is on the list. As awesome as a shooter as he is.
Right.
And he shot against the people on this list, right? But you look at other people who've shot against a bunch of people on this list and have won, and they're higher up.
Yeah, like JJ has not had a great year. I mean, I know he won Production Optics World Shoot, but this year he has not performed all that well. Like he simply hasn't been as good as he normally is. And so that's why I have him down. And then 100%.
What was JJ on the last list?
On the list previous to this, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. Cuz I mean, I understand JJ slipping.
He was actually lower on the list last time as well. Okay, spring power rankings. JJ was 7th on the previous list.
Okay.
So having
I would just leave him 7th, I would say.
So then Garen would be 6th.
Yeah, I'd be all right with that.
Okay, you've waffled so much. We need an official. This is official. This is why I don't know if we can have Jeff be the one to break ties. Who is 6th and who is 7th? Officially, right now. Decisive.
JJ 6th, Garrett 7th.
Okay, so the man who cannot show up to a match with a gun that works or with ammo that will actually exit the barrel reliably is the 6th best shooter in the country right now. Okay, sure.
Well, I don't think we should squib shame people. No squib shaming.
I mean, look,
you see me going to bat for JJ here. Take note, people.
But it's always something. Like, when is it not something? It's always something.
Mm-hmm.
And
it is always something.
It's why I personally stopped talking about when my things break, because I don't want to be like the person who my friends think of as, oh yeah, his dot broke, right? Like, of course, that's why. Like,
so you don't want to talk about that front sight?
Well, I want to talk about the front sight because I've only used the gun for 2 weeks and the front sight fell off. That's not.
Can you not make your stuff work? Like, that's ridiculous. Come on.
And people blame me. It's like, okay, what did I do? Did I put on the front sight? Is it my torque spec on the front sight?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
There shouldn't be any torque at all. It should be a friction fit.
Yeah, I can't tell you that. So those are the power rankings. If you guys got fired up about it, listeners, if you get fired up about it, good. Like, it is opinion based. There are people like Jeff. There are people like my buddy Michael Poggi. They get really frustrated and really mad at these discussions because it's opinions, and they want an ELO system. They want to just be straight numbers, and they cannot anything that's not just factual numbers. This is just who earned it. Their mind gets blown because they can't handle it. And that's fine. An ELO system is really difficult in our sport because of all the different divisions, because of the lack of consistency of elite talent shooting all the different divisions at all the major matches. It's really, really difficult, I think, to have an ELO system be in any way accurate. I've never seen one that I thought was remotely accurate at all. I think there's ways to do it, but it would take a whole lot of work. And Jeff started doing this, but he got lazy and quit doing the work. So
yeah, got lazy.
Yeah, that fits, tracks.
And Jay Slater's solution is pretty elegant. So it's not match ELO; it's essentially stage ELO. So for JFMARs, for people with the internet, the way he runs that is by stage. So you get much more data that way than if you were running by matches. So you gain and lose ELO on stages across a match.
So you get a lot of data from just one match.
Exactly.
Interesting.
It's kind of interesting.
One bad stage hurts you, but it doesn't hurt you as much as it might in match finish.
Yeah.
So you can overperform in ELO your match finish if it's one bad stage that drags down your match percentage.
That's interesting. I'd have to kind of. I have not looked real deep at his. I've seen it, and I've seen it in that I have seen like where people rank, and I've kind of thought that seems a little not right. But I think he's working on it, and I'm glad that he is. I think that's really cool. I think I like having a points, just strictly a points based system that is not opinion based. But I also really like the opinion based stuff because there's some nuances to it that can come into it, and it creates more discussion. Quite frankly, the ELO system, there's not a whole lot of discussion other than to talk about the system, and I don't really care to spend a lot of time arguing about a system. I'd rather argue about how good JJ is or isn't.
But it is cool that we've got different ranking systems popping up out there. I like that. Yeah, for sure. So then my other question, we've kind of discussed the tiebreaker scenario. So originally this was just me. When I first started doing it, was just me doing the power rankings. And then I brought Potato on because Potato's neurotic. He follows local matches out there. He's insane. And so like it seemed, and he's appropriately insane and appropriately crazy but he's also reasonable. So the question is do we want to add more people? Should there be more than just two of us creating these power rankings or not? I don't think I trust Jeff to put him on the committee, so he's not going to be on the committee other than as a tiebreaker. Frankly, because he's just going to rely on everybody else's research. Yeah, it's too much of a time commitment, so I'm out.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But should we add more people to it? And that's open to you guys, but that's also open to the audience. I would love to hear your feedback. If you think you should be on the committee to submit your power rankings, send me your top 15, and I want a synopsis of each person why they're in your top 15. And if it's
go join the Discord so you can argue about it in there.
Yeah, you're gonna almost have to be on member on the Discord, so do that. You don't have to be. It's not actually true. You don't. I'll take other people that aren't on it, but it's better if you are. So, what do you guys think? Do y'all think we should add more?
I mean, I think if there's somebody out there that's like a freak about it, like Potato is, then it would be interesting to have their input for sure.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I don't know how many other potatoes there are out there.
Oh,
yeah, one's enough for me.
World's full of potatoes. Can't really open the door without running into one of them.
That's great.
And, I don't have any particular insight. I just have a lot of data.
Or you also have a lot of interest, so...
Yeah, I don't know many people who are bigger fans of the sport of USPSA than Potato.
Well, I like excellence. It's not like the sport and the structure. It's not like I wake up and I think, thank goodness for the board of directors who every day gives us this phenomenal sport out of their generosity, kindness, and leadership. I really love excellence, and so power rankings are great because it is kind of about excellence. It's like these are the people who, if you watch them on a stage, they will perform excellently. And when you see that happen, whether it's a video later or you're standing there, that to me is exciting. Especially because there's no one in our sport who does anything that I think I couldn't do that.
I got a
lot of people who do things I can't do it right now. But they're not inhuman feats. I'm not watching.
You can't move like me. I'm too bendy.
True,
You're old.
You are too bendy, and I am too old. That's true. But I don't watch you, so.
Wow.
Burn.
Blocked. I'm not sending you any match video.
And I love your match video. You are very bendy. You're kind of a low port specialist.
Yeah. Every time I see a low port on the stage, I find the tallest member of my squad and I just mock them.
Man, what a title. Low port specialist.
That's a good. I'm putting that on a jersey.
How many people are in that club, Potato?
Low port specialist.
Me and every woman that
just
signed up to shoot the match.
Right. Yeah. Everyone with.
Everyone under 5'6".
Yeah,
people with good hip flexibility.
Right. Yeah. So
athletes, young people.
So young people, Caitlin, Heron.
True.
And
I
a lot
wish
of
I
women.
could shoot a match against Heron. He keeps dodging me.
He's
scared.
too scared of your low port action, man.
It's
That's
right. It's true.
Jeff knows all about being dodged.
Jeff, you were going to say something earlier.
I was going to ask on power rankings. So, single stack nationals. There's nobody in single stack nationals, like even at the top end, right? Maybe a Vlieger. Okay.
Yep.
So, me or Jeremy, well, not Jeremy. If I win single stack nationals, do I get on the list? Is that enough?
It depends. Well, because we're going to have raw data straight across with production. And so then we can kind of see.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you win single stack nationals and you're 15% back on the production winner, then I'm going to rate some of those production people higher.
Right.
And
obviously.
if you win single stack nationals and you're 5% up on the production winner, that's a pretty good argument for being on the list.
Hey, we're going to have some good prop bets going into Ironside Nationals with all the different divisions going on.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
Those prop bets are going to be fire. They're going to be bussing.
Respectfully.
So, I do have evidence of a few people now in Ironside super squads who did not qualify for them from last year. So that's a good argument for the two of you.
Oh,
wait, what? Say that again?
I'm saying there's a couple of the Ironside super squads that have shooters currently on them who did not sort of qualify for them based on match placement last year. So there's some degree of discretion for the match director.
Yeah, there always has been
technically Ted Murphy
on the super squads.
I think Ted Murphy is technically the match director. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have a squad that has me, Jeff, and John McClain on it. So
do we?
Yeah,
that's what basically Super Squad B.
I mean, in some reality, yes. So if we got bumped to the Super Squad, that'd be cool. Like this, I did not earn my way on the Super Squad. My nationals last year was atrocious, and so if they want to say that and say, yeah, you shouldn't be on the Super Squad, I 100% accept that. From just a standpoint of the number of GMs at single stack nationals, then that would put Jeff, John, and I onto the Super Squad from that standpoint of more of who's not there rather than who is there. So
right now on the single stack Super Squad, you got Tim Heron, Robert. Oh God.
Cernogaj. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. Cernogaj.
Yeah, he has Caesar in quotes out to the side.
Yeah, he's from Europe.
And then we have Elias, Vlieger, and Robbie. So that's the only people on there right now.
Right. So there's lots of open spots. They're gonna have to fill that squad with people some way somehow. And so then are they gonna do that? Are they gonna combine the 5 revolver shooters onto that and have a combined squad that way? Are they gonna combine it with a women's super squad of some kind?
There's not a women's single stack super squad.
No, I assume that they're going to have a ladies super squad that probably encompasses several divisions, would be my assumption. So how are they going to fill that squad out? That'll be up to, I guess, the match director and how they want to do so.
How about the 6 people signed up for L10?
They should be ashamed of themselves.
Hey, USPSA just asked me in a survey today if they should exist, and I said no.
You know, it would actually be awesome if we could get those six people
ice
to
that division before. The
yes,
match. Oh,
yes, so that there's nobody sign up for limited 10 for nationals at all. That would be fantastic. That would be. Then they had they still. I would love it because they would still have like a trophy made, and Ted Murphy just takes it home because he's president. I don't know what you do. I would love to. Anybody that's shooting limited 10, I would love for them all to shoot a different division because that would be great.
It is pretty telling that like the one match that people would actually shoot L10. There's 6 people. I mean, there's 28 in Revolver, so.
We had 39 last year. I mean, so Revolver nationals are typically 30 to 40.
Yeah.
And Poji's not even signed up yet because. Yeah. So, okay. The other thing, last thing on the power rankings, the other thing that I love about it is that we also have a lot of names that probably people haven't heard of. People know who JJ is. They know the Christians, the Nils, what our traditional top 7. Pretty much everybody knew those people.
Yeah.
But this does there are a lot of people now that people haven't heard of that they may not know if they're not local to them or anything like that. That, hey, there are other people in this sport who are really, really good who you may just not have heard of yet. And this is kind of a way to get some of those up and coming names out there for people to have heard of them. Hopefully to be watching for them in scores and bring some more interest. You may look at a match score and Nils and Christian aren't there. And so it's like, oh, nobody good here shot. But then you look, it's like, well, Joey Sauerland shot this and he shot against Giovanni's like, oh, those people are actually, they're known to be really good. This was actually they had some really good shooters here. So I really do like that. I did say I was the last thing. Jacob Hetherington made a post on Instagram that he's taken a hiatus from shooting until November, I think, which would be IPSC Nationals and Area 2. I believe his wife's about to have their first child fairly soon, and so I assume he's taking.
That's a good excuse.
I think he's taking
just scared.
Katon is coming after him, and he knew it is time for me to take a break. I need to go train up before I try to compete against him. So he will probably be dropping off the list or very low to the list in the upcoming ones, because he will not be, if he's not competing at all, then
there's no room for people having kids on this list.
No,
get him off.
Absolutely not. Get him off.
How many people on this list have kids? JJ does.
Max does. JJ does. Is that it?
Is that it?
Did we accidentally create a list of top shooters without children?
Okay, Jay Beal, who's in others receiving votes, he has kids.
Dazzy and others receiving votes, he has kids.
Okay, I was not aware of Dazzy. I don't know Dazzy at all. So
yeah, Dazzy is
I mean, the evidence is the evidence is fairly clear. If you want to excel in this sport, having kids is not the way to do that.
Right, because our JJ and Max on this list, like, would they still be there if they didn't have their history from when they didn't have kids?
It's a good question.
JJ's strongest shooting came in like the second act of his career.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
What year was that?
He had kids.
Like
in his 30s is really when he became as strong a shooter as he is.
But what year was it when he was like? That he was like first.
It was 9 days of nationals. That would be 4 years. Was that 2019? I think it was 2019.
It's earlier
when
than
he
that.
had
2019 is not 9 days to nationals.
I think it was 18, wasn't it?
18 is 9 days to nationals.
Yeah.
Okay, then it was 2018. That was his best year.
Yeah,
okay, so 2018 was his best. That was when he was at his best. Okay, we'll move on. We're moving on. Wow, we spent a lot of time on that. So we were on the Discord this morning. Before we go to that, Shooters Connection, they're sponsoring this episode. We very, very much appreciate that. If you have anything, I am almost out of pasters. I got to order some pasters. I'm actually want to try out some of those. I think their Double Alpha makes the dry fire mags, so I'm probably going to order some of those soon. But anything you need for the shooting world, Shooters Connection is going to have it. They support the sport. They sponsor hundreds of matches every year. Buy from them. Use the link that we have so it kind of shows that you heard about it from us. It helps us, and support them. Are there any shout outs?
We don't have any new shout outs. No, we don't have any new shout outs. We get our old ones.
I had stuff in my Shooters Connection cart the other day, and I was like, oh yeah. And I went back and I found the link. And I reopened it from the link and moved my cart over.
Oh.
Yes. Oh. This is why you get to come back on the podcast, Potato. It's for things like that.
That's it. That's the reason.
Yeah. Okay, so I was on the... What?
Yeah, we don't have any new shout-outs, so go ahead.
Okay, so I was on the Discord this morning. Jeff was talking about working out. He likes to talk about working out a lot. He'll take the simplest workout ever and he'll make it seem like he's just done a marathon. It's impressive, actually. I'm jealous of that skill. But he was talking about engaging his core, and he was talking about how he was doing some sort of exercise and he felt like he was engaging his core like he feels whenever he's shooting. And my question was like, you feel yourself engage your core while you're shooting? And I was just baffled, because I think the only time I've ever felt like been aware of my core being used while shooting was trying to shoot prone at one point. Like where I think it was probably area 3, where you were on an elevated platform, your feet are hanging off the back, and you're doing like this porpoise pose, right, to try to shoot prone. And it's like, yeah, I had to use core muscles then, but otherwise, like just running around shooting, I'm sure my core is being engaged, but I've never been aware.
You didn't even shoot prone on that stage.
No, but I in the walkthrough I tried it.
The only time I ever engaged my core was actually on a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So that was the conversation, and then I don't remember where it went from there, but it started talking about Olympic lifts, and Katon was like, "Are you sure about that, Jeff?" And so, Jeff,
are you sure about that?
Yeah, what are you talking about, Jeff, and what's happening here?
All right, so I have this. It's really just a theory or an opinion, I guess. But I wasn't trying to say that strength training wasn't beneficial to sports. Not at all what I was saying. What I was saying was that people who train, and I've said this before on here, people who train more hypertrophy style training, where they're like, doing a curl and they're trying to feel their specific like brachii here. They're trying to curl it and feel that specific muscle and flood it with lactic acid and just roast it. Like they're trying to just feel that tiny little muscle. I don't feel like that type of training is conducive to having well-developed motor skills. That's what I was saying.
Okay, so for like, I pushed back on that because I think that's dumb. But like, if you simplify the argument that you're making, is it effectively that specificity in the type of training you do, and like more specific, the more compounded the like negative effects would be, where if you train something really specifically rather than just being an intuitively good natural athlete, then the type of person you're describing gets worse results. Like if you take a naturally gifted athlete and say, all right, isolate your biceps brachii and work it out until you can't like curl anymore, like they will develop either bad habits or see bad results or something to that effect. Is that like a fair representation of what you were saying?
Essentially, yeah. I would think that type of training would hinder your coordination, essentially.
Okay. So for like context, my background before getting autistically hyperfixated on shooting, my previous hyperfixation was Olympic weightlifting, and my accomplishments there was I set the state record for my weight class in the snatch and clean and jerk, and then also took gold at that time. 2-time undefeated champ, but the reasons for that are silly because they just didn't hold the state champ next year, so undefeated. But like, hell yeah.
So okay, are you
it's
still
like
strong,
flexing,
or you
like,
has been?
I'm still strong. I have just been much more interested in shooting than adding kilos to my Olympic lifts.
Okay, just checking.
What?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
But like, it's like flexing like a soft state match that nobody gives a shit about. Like I'm not like, actually very strong. I'm just a threatening mid-pack person, much like my shooting. But yeah, so like I do have a good understanding of like how to do general strength training and how to do technical training that requires a lot of specificity, such as a technical Olympic lift, or similar in structure to learning an instrument, or very similar to shooting, which is why it was like a very quick like carryover. Like once you got over the specifics of like how to hold a gun and all that shit, the way to train how to hold a gun and shoot a gun better had like broad scope, very, very similar applications for training style. So my pushing back on this type of argument that specificity makes a natural athlete worse at the thing that they are, either paid to do or passionate about, I don't think is true for most people, but I'm definitely not going to say that there isn't like some kind of freak who is exactly that person and they just intuit how to be good at whatever they're doing and just figure it out. But I think that there is a phase in most people's training, which is usually like the first however many years it takes to get them to like the top 1%, where you do like 100% do need that specificity. Like you look at like doing trigger control or shooting like fucking doubles, like fine tuning the way you hold the gun, the way you lock your wrists. Like you have to engage and deliberately not engage very specific parts of your hand and your arms, and like relax tension in your shoulders. Like all that shit is 100% the specificity that like you would be describing. And whether you do it intuitively or not, like that is being trained when you shoot. When you give an input, you shoot the gun and you see the results. And then like once that is learned and made like your habit, then yeah, fuck yeah, 100%, it's intuitive. And if you're consciously thinking about it, you're slow and the results are worse. But it had to be paid attention to first.
Right. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and that does make sense.
Some backbone, Jeff.
No, I mean,
you're just gonna lay over and die and wilt like just that quickly.
I do have a really commanding presence.
Well, I don't want to.
People say that about me.
You.
I mean, I don't want to.
I'm sparing you. I want to have a conversation first.
Just imagine Bob Crow, but bigger.
Like you may have a commanding presence, but I'm like, no offense, the voice is not that scary.
That's true. I'm not a scary person. I'm just a silly little guy.
It's not quite Potato's voice, but it's not. I mean, I can't see you. Like you could be flexing on me right now and look very scary, but I'm not scared right now. Okay, so I think where this went into the Discord, is Jeff kind of brought up other athletic sports, aka golf, aka tennis. And he even brought up basketball. I thought basketball was a bit more of a reach there, but like you were saying that like you see those people working out and like the workouts they're doing. You were basically saying they're terrible at that part of it compared to somebody who, like Katon used to do, like actually works out. They're not at all competitive with them in any sort of way.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't saying they were terrible at working out, or that's not what I was trying to say. That may have been what I said. I was trying to say they're terrible in comparison. Like if you compared them to someone who trains specifically that, like, what did you say, Katon hyper specificity of like a specific muscle. Like you watch someone who is like a career bodybuilder and you watch them do a bench press and it almost looks like a machine. Like there's no off balance. Like they have it dialed in to where they are hitting like that very specific muscle. It's just a machine, right? And like you watch someone like a tennis player do a bench press and it looks like an average Joe, and it's like it's all over the place, it's off balance, because that's not the type of training they do. They do like, you know, more explosive technique driven training. So that's what I was saying in that regard, is they don't do, and what they say about bodybuilders is like they're not just moving weight, they're training very specific tiny little muscles all the time. And that's the difference between a bodybuilder and a normal trainer. A bodybuilder could pick up a 20-pound dumbbell and get a lot better work in one muscle than an average person could, because they have that connection to where they're squeezing that one muscle over and over and over again. So that's what I was saying, is that if you took someone who is hyper athletic and you made them do an exercise where they had to train like one individual little muscle and make it like mechanically perfect, I didn't think they would be as good at it as someone who is, that's the only type of training they do.
I think that's fair, but you know, who would be? Like the other person has already devoted that time to like learn the specificity or like learn the specific motion that they're doing, like that. Yeah. No shit.
Yeah.
But amusingly, I do recall like a video of like Rich Piana or like some other like, you know, pro level bodybuilder like shooting a Glock or whatever on one weekend, and it just like looked like a toy in his hand and his technique looked like shit, and it was really funny. But it is the funny inverse of what you're describing.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where the train of thought comes from. It's like you see a bodybuilder trying to do anything athletic and it's hilarious. Like they almost like don't have any coordination. And so that's kind of where my train of thought comes from, is that style of training does not lend yourself well to being coordinated well in more dynamic movements.
Is this a long-form justification for you sort of letting go of big lifts and focusing on functional exercises?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't pick up that thread till now. Maybe this was obvious to everyone else, but now I get it. It's like, why are you invested in this argument? Okay. And I fully support you. I use you as an example all the time why I let go of big lifts. Like, well, this guy, Jeff Cawthon, on a podcast, he's like, I'm just going to focus on the functional stuff that matters.
But, like, I mean, but you're, to make a slightly, I think maybe a different point, you can take a basketball player who is extremely coordinated, or any other professional athlete who are like, they're professional athletes and they are that for a reason. Like usually their coordination is off the charts, and you can give them a golf club and most of the time it's atrocious. It looks like they don't look like they're athletic at all. Like they can't hardly swing a golf club. You take these people who are super coordinated and you put them in these other things that they're not, that they haven't done. Like their body's like, I don't know how to do this. This is really strange and weird, and they can't do it. So I do think there's a point where you specialize your body into movements, and your body gets used to those movements, and it becomes coordinated. Like Nils is.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but the reason I was comparing it to weightlifting is because people lift weights because they think it's going to make them better at this sport deal. So I was saying that a type of weightlifting, mainly hypertrophy style training, I don't think is very beneficial to something athletic.
Okay. So let's.
I think you're just mad that Shane Coley's beaten you every time you've shown up at the same match.
Nope. I beat him. L10 Nationals 2020.
You did. When you came third, you did beat Shane Coley.
That is true. I mean, that is the question. That is a good question. Is there benefit in USPSA shooting to working out, to physical fitness? At what point is it a benefit? At what point is it not?
Yeah, I mean, of course it's a benefit to be physically fit. That's not even a question in my mind.
I'm going to take a strong stance and say no, there isn't. Because there is not enough money in the sport for the people who are not fit to be punished by it.
I mean, they're just not as good. That's a punishment.
I think
I've seen people shaped like bowling balls win majors.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, that's true. But more people in decent shape win majors.
Yeah, but I mean, decent shape versus like somebody who is like fit. Like there's a pretty drastic difference there, right? Like,
well, and what was the longest stage you shot that didn't involve a malfunction? 40 seconds?
What are you talking about?
What's the
just
longest stage
time-wise.
you've shot? Yeah, just time-wise. The longest stage you've shot.
I don't know. It's probably like 30-something seconds.
So the
What's
level
the most
of
like
fitness
physically
you need-
demanding prop you had to navigate?
20
That's a
pounds?
good question. Probably not that heavy.
The worst I've seen are like the balance beam seesaws, and I don't even think I've seen this in USPSA, but like the IPSC stages where you have to jump over a blue barrel that's like laying on its side.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like it. That's as hard as it gets.
The one where I got Area 3 where I got COVID, where you had to jump out of the back of that El Camino, that one would have
Yeah,
been.
for parity, everyone has to have COVID.
Competitive equity.
Jeff
You can
tried.
only shoot
Somehow
if
Jeremy
you
dodged it.
pause.
Jeff tried to give it to as many people as he possibly could.
I tried, yeah. I tried to give it to Cody. Shook his hand that day. I sat with the Brown boys at dinner. None of them got it.
Not all of us are weak. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question as far as what is the level of physical fitness that's required of our sport. And it honestly, the bar is actually extremely low as far as what's required from that. And then the question becomes kind of what benefit is there? In all honesty, for a standalone stage, there's if you're generally within standard weight limits, like if you're not considered obese, like you're probably going to be fine. If you start getting to obese and morbidly obese, your movement's going to be hampered. But even that's not, you can still shoot really, really well, even at that. So I don't think there's outside of at a very elite level. I think there are some footwork drills that could be like, you could increase your coordination with your feet at a very, very elite level. Like your shooting has to be like so rock solid, like that your shooting's never in question for that to matter. There are some footwork technique drills and just working on some coordination from that could matter. But outside of that, nationals, we're shooting 7 stages in a single day, in a half a day. It's not like we're doing like this massive marathon where it's a conditioning thing. I mean, Jeff's talked about getting tired, and so maybe there is a conditioning thing that I've never really experienced that too much from a physical standpoint.
Yeah, in half day format, I don't think there is like conditioning doesn't really come into factor.
Nationals is much, much easier than a 12-stage area match where you're shooting in a single day. Like 6-7 stages with a Yeah. I think the 12-stage format, for me at least, it's the combination of mental fatigue with physical drain just from being on your feet, being in the sun all day, like sort of sun drunkenness. It's 96 degrees, 98 degrees, there's not a lot of shade. You've walked 6 miles pasting. It's not that your top end physical performance isn't there. It's that your bottom end, like, tolerance for discomfort and mental clarity while experiencing discomfort isn't there. And that's where I think, like, baseline fitness helps people, that people who can sort of push through how they're actually feeling benefit. Whereas I think a lot of weightlifting, if you get into that to any degree, it's going to hurt your shooting because you're going to show up to matches in pain. And I'm sure I was just doing it wrong, and someone can correct me. But when I did a lot of weightlifting, like, something was always hurt. It just chased injuries around different parts of the body.
Yeah. So I'm gonna post. I post this video in the chat here. This is a video of Hunter Labrada, which is one of the world's best bodybuilders right now. He's like, he's inside the top 10 in the world. I know that for sure. And he is having a range day and shooting. So it's a very good video of someone who specifically trains hypertrophy style doing some shooting. So I'm not going to say whether it proves a point or not, but watch it. It's interesting to see someone that large who does that style of training. Now, there's also a lot of PEDs involved and stuff. So this dude's like way bigger than a normal person would ever get, right? But still, it's interesting. So I'll put it in the description. Y'all go watch it if you want.
He's working those one-shot times. Always a key drill. Draw and fire a single shot in the direction of steel. Fun fact. Trevor Cotter, actually, I'm going to give Trevor Cotter a shout out here. He actually told me that he's like best buddies with Hunter Labrada. So he may have taught him how to shoot. I don't know.
Tell him you taught him wrong.
You taught him wrong, Trevor.
This is bad. Feel bad.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't consider, I'm not a workout person. I'm not a fitness person. I don't consider myself at all to be in that. I have a decent level of conditioning for an average person, is what I think. I don't think that has really benefited me on the shooting range.
You have from a match-to-match basis. You have a significantly higher level of conditioning than all but people who are conditioning athletes.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like, you're in the top 10 percentile, easy for conditioning. Easy. Probably.
I think I could beat you on the 100-meter sprint, but I'd have an asthma attack afterwards, and that's it.
Are you going to be at Area 3?
No.
Oh, you should come.
I'm not flying out.
You should come. We can race. It doesn't vex you, just me and Jeff.
Match to fly to, though. My goodness.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned it in a while, I don't think. But aside from Area 3 also being where everybody's supposed to shoot single stack, Jeremy and I are still supposed to race at Area 3. 100 meter, 400 meter, and 1600 meter.
And you've been doing the 1600. We've seen your progress.
Yeah, I've been running. I mean, no, I'm not going to say anything.
So,
all right,
well,
for the 1600, I picked Jeremy to put 1 minute on you.
That's fair.
Just to be clear. That's my problem.
So I assume each race is worth a point, and so whoever wins 2 of the 3 races, is that what you're thinking?
I honestly hadn't really thought that we would like declare an overall winner. I thought we were just going to race and
just see who wins. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I didn't think that we were actually going to like declare a winner. I mean, we can do that if you want.
Well, so I mean, look, where I'm at, like, Jeff doesn't have a chance at a mile, I don't think. like Jeff can make himself suffer for a while, but in a mile, I don't think he can suffer enough. His conditioning just isn't, unless he's doing lots of stuff that he's simply not posted at all about, which I would be a little bit surprised. A mile's going to hurt him to beat me in, because you'll have to be sub 6.
I got some meth. I think it's going to help.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if you had supplements. I guess we did not declare
raccoon buddies.
We didn't declare a drug testing policy. That's true. But like the 100, I'm not a fast person, so I could very easily see Jeff beat me at 100 in 100 meters. If I don't know if Jeff's fast or not, I just know that I'm not fast. And so then
I think I will win the 100. I think the 400 will be a good race. I think it'll be the only good race.
That's the one that's interesting, the most interesting.
Well, there's room in the 400 to really push.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to try and recover. And to overexert yourself early.
Yeah,
can we do the mile?
Would be a good race.
Can the mile be the first race?
No, we're not doing that.
Oh, that's lame.
But I do pick you for a minute on the mile.
We can do the 100 last if you want.
You want to do the 100 after the mile?
We could do the 400, then the 1 mile, and then the 100.
I
the
don't
400 is going to be the most interesting, so we could do it first.
I don't think you want to do that.
I don't, but it would be interesting.
I think your best bet is to have the 100 first.
I mean, it is. It is. But the 400 is going to be the most interesting.
We'll go 100, 400 mile. I'm good with that. So, but all that to say, my working out, that sort of stuff is not really shooting related at all. It's only shooting related in trying to extend my career. Is trying to extend my physical abilities as late as possible, as old as possible, right? Like that's really trying to avoid injury, that sort of thing. It's not necessarily so that my peak performance at a single match can be better. There's other stuff that I do that I need the physical fitness for backpacking, hunting, snow skiing, that sort of stuff. And then just simply wanting to be healthy. My interest in working out is not to work out. I don't like working out. I would just as soon quit doing it. But I think you haven't
developed any sort of desire to
he doesn't allow himself to feel
to work out
human things.
I look people that like all due respect to Katon and his former life of being.
What? No, shit's hard, man. Like, who? What are you talking about? It's work.
It is work. But if the working out is your hobby, I don't get that in any sort of way. The working out should be enabling you to do something else. Not the working out is not I don't. At some point, I will probably run a marathon because I want to just to test just a test. But I'm never going to pay somebody to let me run a marathon. I don't understand that. Why would you pay somebody? Hey, let me come run on your street. I can do that for free. I don't need to pay for that.
Well, you should come up here and run the free marathon, where then you get to run with a bunch of other people, but you don't have to pay. It's beautiful December weather in Maine. It could be raining instead of snowing. It's in lovely Millinocket. It's just an hour and a half from a small regional airport. You'll have to connect twice.
I'm out on that too. Yeah, I don't need to do that. Maybe if you had some really good whiskey and I got to eat lobster for 3 days, maybe.
Hopefully you can eat some moose.
They're just in the water. Just go get them yourself.
Okay, you might have me. I might would do that. You give me some moose tenderloin, some tongue. I've never had elk tongue is excellent. I've never had a moose tongue, so save the tongue when you shoot it, and maybe we'll do something with that. I'm down.
I had to lure you to a marathon with promises of moose tongue. That sounds really wrong.
Hey,
wow.
You got to do what you got to do.
Well, you got anything else on that? I got one more thing I want to talk about.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so I shot a club match this last weekend. and I shot some new bullets. So I want to talk about that. They're a little interesting. So, and I talked to Rubens, and he said I could talk about it. So he's been in the developing stages of a new bullet coating since December. So for the last 6-7 months, he's been working with a polymer engineering firm working on a new coating. And we got to test them out this weekend at a match. Anyway, they seem to be doing really great. So I've been noticing a little bit of smoke when I was shooting lately. Not terrible, but it's like every once in a while you're coming into a position, you shoot, the smoke's noticeable. It's like, oh, I saw smoke. So I didn't have any of that with these coating. It's very similar to like the blue bullet coating. Like it looks a lot thicker and a little bit more matte. But I didn't feel like any of it really came off on the hands. I mean, maybe a little bit, but not as much as like when you're doing blues and you get a bunch of the blue on there. Which, honestly, the blue never really bothered me, but it seemed to bother some people. But anyway, the coating is pretty interesting. So I think it's going to be another month or so, maybe 2 months before that coating is going to the public and you can get those. But be on the lookout for those. So I'm going to be shooting the new Rubens coating this year. It's black. It's black coating. It's no longer mauve. I liked the mauve, but
that disappoints me a little bit. Yeah,
I know.
I would have maybe comments on my sort of lipstick bullets.
But it does appear to be a really solid coating. He sent me some videos of like different tests that he's done on them, the like melting test and different smoke tests and things like that. So it's been pretty cool, him being in development and doing all the research and getting that dialed in.
Has he tested them on the front feed lip ramp on a Metgar mag?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Jeremy? So coated bullets, when I'm pushing them into a Metgar single stack mag, there's that little bit of a feed ramp that they put at the front instead of a recess. And I drag a little bit of whatever high tech or whatever coating I have on bullets gets dragged off every time I'm pushing them with some pressure.
I mean, this coating is a lot more scratch resistant than the previous coating.
That would have been a better way to phrase that.
So I use the metal form mags for 9, and they have that ramp too. But I've shot nothing but high tech bullets for the past 10 years, and it's never been an issue for me from that standpoint. So I look forward to shooting Rubens bullets. Yeah, that's true. I really look forward to shooting Rubens bullets. He has all the molds that I used to use to make bullets. So I'm going to be able to use, if I want, I can use the same bullets I've always used, which that's cool. But it'll be really curious to see how his coated bullets work with tight group. Right? Like we know high tech bullets and tight group. Really bad combo, especially in Tulsa. So it's good that your club match you shot was in Tulsa. I don't know if you said that or not, but Tulsa is historically really humid, can be extremely smoky. It can be really tough if your ammo is smoky at all. And so it's really good.
Thing. It was incredibly humid when we shot because it had rained really hard and it rained all the way up to the match, and then the sun came out and it was about 85 degrees. So it was incredibly
if you don't have smoke in that conditions, then you don't have smoke.
Yeah. I mean, the only other best way to test it is we got some tight group lovers in the Discord, and let them load some with tight group and see how it does with it.
I've got some tight group. I'll test it.
Yeah, test some with tight group and see how it does.
Bad loaders who also under flare or over crimp.
Yes.
Under flare and over crimp. I'll get it done.
Under flare, over crimp, tight group. That's the real.
Especially if your like powder drop walks a little bit and you get variable like doses. That's perfect. That's exactly what tight group needs too.
If
there's a flaw in your case, tight group is going to find it.
I can do all those things.
Jeff's on it. He's who you want for that.
Yeah.
All right,
that
Potato.
was it.
Potato, I appreciate you coming on again, as always. Even the, I'm not even call it homeless. The lobster fisherman look. I'm here for that. I hope we can further
real
embrace
lobstermen
that.
would be offended to hear me counted in their ranks. This is not a
Well,
lobsterman look. This is your original line was better. It looks like I do have a job holding a sign at the Walmart.
Yeah, that's
for the parking lot.
Yeah, that may be true. Katon.
My dog is hungry sign.
Yeah. Katon, I'm gonna always say it like that. Just get used to it.
Perfect.
But I appreciate you providing your expertise into Olympic lifts and telling Jeff that he's dumb, and watching him wilt as quickly as he did on his position was exactly what I expected, and I loved it. So
I'm just here to info dump to establish my dominance.
Solid.
that sounds great. Try to bring an actual video next time.
Next time, could you shit on the power rankings a little harder though? I mean, that was pathetic performance.
Oh, I'm like newish. I've been shooting for like 4 years, so like I don't give a shit about anyone who shot well before I shot. So who cares? Some of these names I don't even know. Like the only reason I like followed JJ's career is because he and like Max were on the Shooting USA like video from 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that documentary or whatever. I watched that shit on YouTube during COVID. So like anything other than that is just deep lore that I don't care about.
Deep lore.
Do you know who Rob Latham is?
Oh yeah, he's that old guy who shoots clocks.
Yeah, nailed it.
Yes.
Nailed it.
Got it in one.
Perfect.
Got it in one. It's the Glock
Perfect.
Desert Classic is sort of his home area match every year, right?
Yep, that's correct. That's correct.
Oh my god.
All right, guys, it has been fun. I appreciate y'all coming on, and I look forward to the next one. So if you guys have any comments or questions, please let us know, and I'm happy to try to address them if I can.
Yeah.
Amen.